guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have some of my favorite retellings as well as retellings I would really like to get to. So since we are in the month of the Make Your Myth Taker Readathon, I thought one very fun idea would be to tell you guys about some of my favorite retellings. This is something that the Myth Take girls do quite often, is read books based on retellings or different myths and that kind of stuff, and so I was definitely trying to figure out what some of my favorite retellings were. And then I also realized I had quite a few retellings on my shelves that I haven't gotten to yet. So what I did is I have about 6 retellings that I wanted to definitely talk about. I tried to keep it to 5, but I couldn't pick between 2 for a certain fairy tale. And then I also picked 5 retellings that I know I definitely want to get to, and I just haven't gotten there yet. So I think we're gonna start with the books that I have read. And the first one that I have here is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I've heard this billed as more of a modern day Beauty and the Beast retelling, and our main character of Harper definitely is from a modern day Washington, D.C. However, most of the story also takes place in sort of a castle, countryside, village. It makes me definitely think more of like the traditional fairy tale type of setting, like back in the day sort of stuff. I don't know if they have an exact when it's supposed to be, but there's not like technology just floating around being a modern day setting. But I really did enjoy this one. I think I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I know some people thought it was a little bit slow, but I just really enjoyed the characterization of Harper and Wren and Gray and the sort of progression of actual relationships and friendships in this book. Nothing was insta-love or anything like that. It was really, really cool. I also liked the aspect of that sort of village, town, countryside, castle thing where you do get to see Prince Wren sort of having to be a prince and govern. This also has cerebral palsy in it, and I personally really like the fact that the representation of it was nothing of a detriment to Harper. So I personally liked it. I don't know anybody with it personally, so I don't know for sure how good the rep is, but I've heard that it is very well done, and I personally really enjoyed that aspect of the story as well, because it wasn't something that was dwelled upon as being bad or making Harper less than. And so this was just a really, really well done book. The next one I wanted to talk about is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I guess I really want to talk about all of the Lunar Chronicles books, because this one here is the first one in the series and it is based on the fairy tale of Cinderella. But then we also have the second book in the series, which is Red Riding Hood, the third book, which I have not read yet, but it's based on Rapunzel, and then the fourth book, which I haven't read because I haven't read the third one, which is based on Snow White. But this is a young adult sci-fi series that have the different fairy tales woven in, and I, again, really enjoyed this. I can't remember what I gave this one exactly. I believe it was a 4 or 4.5, something like that. It's been a few years since I've read this, and I do want to reread them so that I can finish the series. But I love the fact that we have it as a sci-fi series. We still have the commonality of like some of the characterization here. So like Cinder does have a stepmother and 2 stepsisters, but she is a cyborg. So like we have some of the small details that you can definitely like pick out as being from a fairy tale or those fairy tale retelling parts, but I had never read one based in a sci-fi setting before, and I just really, really enjoyed these. The next one we have here is A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. This one I absolutely loved as well. I think this was another one that was like a 4.5 stars, and I need to read the second book because it was just so well done. But this is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. Our main character is Alice, but she ends up finding out about the Wonderland and everything, because in that Wonderland there are creatures that are like nightmares, and she ends up being sort of called to take care of them. So it is sort of like an Alice in Wonderland meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And this is action-packed. I really loved the writing style, and the fact that our Alice is sort of a badass and not as meek and, I guess, curious-filled as the original. Like, the characterization of Alice definitely is turned around in this one compared to the original, but I just really, really enjoyed this one. Like I said, lots of action, very dark, and I need more in this series. So well done. The next one I have here is an adult book, and this is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. So this is a retelling of The Wizard of Oz. This is actually the book that the musical was based off of as well. However, I do want to mention this book is much, much darker than the story it was based off of and the play that was based off of this. This is the life and times of the Wicked Witch of the West. It does start off basically when she is born, or maybe even a little bit before she was born, and takes us through her life from before The Wizard of Oz happened, through that, and a little bit after. I really, really enjoyed this one, but like I said, it's very dark. The last time I read this was in high school, so it's been at least 12, 13 years. And this is a series as well. I personally really enjoyed this one, but do keep in mind anything else that you've read or experienced about this, be it the original Wizard of Oz or the Wicked musical, is going to have even different things than the actual book. Very dark, very adult, but I think it is a good sort of portrayal, retelling of the Wicked Witch's life. Now we come to the part where I wasn't entirely too sure which book I wanted to show you guys. They're both based on the same fairy tale, which is going to be The Little Mermaid. But we have To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo and The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. So To Kill a Kingdom is a YA fantasy retelling about The Little Mermaid, but in this one our main character of Lyra is a siren who is tasked with collecting, I believe, 17 human hearts. But in a twist of fate, she ends up killing one of her own, and her mother, who is the Sea Queen, transforms her into a human as a punishment. So this one is sort of dark compared to, I guess, the Disney-fied Little Mermaid, because the original tale is pretty dark as well. But I really enjoyed this one. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was a little bit predictable to me personally, but the ride was still really, really good. I loved the main characters that we had here, and the fact that she is more of a siren than a mermaid, which means that she is a little bit more ruthless, I thought was a great touch. And then we also had The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. This one is another reimagining of The Little Mermaid. This one sticks pretty darn closely to the original fairy tale. However, it is super, super dark. This is an adult fantasy book. However, I do believe because of sort of the way the subject matter is portrayed and what it is trying to tell us, that is why it is very, very dark. It definitely has a lot of societal issues that are currently going on in the world today brought into this book, specifically like the way that some men view women and how some parts of society are very patriarchal and very excessive way. This book here has tons of trigger warnings. The ones I can think of off the top of my head are obviously going to be sort of like bodily mutilation because of The Little Mermaid, but also there were definite talks about like sexual abuse and body image, and there was just a lot in here. One of my favorite aspects was the Sea Witch character, and she as a character wasn't in here a ton because in the original fairy tale and in the Disney fairy tale she's not in here a ton, but the way that she was characterized as sort of being more okay with who she is and how she looks, and she has her own power in herself, and that's why the men are scared of her and she is a witch. I just really, really appreciated that. I'm very curious to see if this author will ever write more in this world because the ending was amazing and I want more. It was really, really good. So those are the ones that I have definitely read and enjoyed recently, or I guess in the case of Wicked, not so recently. But But I do also have 5 other retelling books that I definitely want to get to. The first one we have over here is Blanca Roja by Anna Marie McLemore. This one is a Swan Lake retelling. Now, I do want to mention, I don't know the full synopses of a lot of the books that I want to read because I'm just one of those people that I know what it is when I want to read them, but then when I put them on the shelves and sort of forget about them, I forget the full synopses thing. So I will try my best. So it says the Del Cisne girls have never just been sisters. They're also rivals and opposites. Blanca, as obedient and graceful as Roja, is vicious and manipulative. They know that because of a generation's old spell. Their family is bound to a bevy of swans deep in the woods. They know that one day the swans will pull them into a dangerous game that will leave one of them a girl and trap the other in the body of a swan. Okay, I mean, I personally don't know a whole lot about Swan Lake and that kind of stuff, but I've heard lots of good things about this one, and it has been on my shelves for a while, on my radar even longer than that, and I don't know, there's something about it that just makes me want to read it. So this is the first one that I do want to get to soon. The next one we have up here is Of Metal and Wishes by Sarah Fine. This is a retelling of The Phantom of the Opera. I do know this is a duology. I don't know how much the second one is also Phantom of the Opera related, but it says, there are whispers of a ghost in the slaughterhouse where 16-year-old Wen assists her father in his medical clinic, a ghost who grants wishes to those who need them most. When one of the Nor men hired as cheap factory labor humiliates Wen, she makes an impulsive wish of her own, and the ghost grants it brutally. I love Phantom of the Opera. I have not read the actual book, but it is something I want to read. But since we're talking about retellings and not the original, this one seems very intriguing to me. It doesn't seem like it has any sort of music aspect in it, but we do definitely have like the Phantom waiting in the background, and I'm curious to see what they do with it. Next we have Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is the only one that I have here at all, I think, that overlaps with a fairy tale or story that I have already talked about, because this is Cinderella. This one is a Cinderella story that takes place at sort of like a Comic-Con. Geek girl Elle Whittemore lives and breathes Starfield, the classic sci-fi series she grew up watching with her late father. So when she sees a cosplay contest for the new Starfield movie, she has to enter. The prize, an invitation to the Excelsicon cosplay ball, and a meet and greet with the actor slated to play Federation Prince Carmindor in the reboot. With savings from her gig at the Magic Pumpkin food truck and her dad's old costume, Elle is determined to win, unless her stepsisters get there first. Now, this is also the only one on the list currently that I actually am planning on reading. Probably when you guys are sort of seeing this, this is on my Make Your Myth Taker TBR for the month of June, so I should be getting to this soon. I'm very excited for it. It's a YA contemporary that is based on Cinderella, but it has like fandom and cosplay stuff in it, which I am all about. Next, we have Alias Hook by Lisa Jensen. This is an adult retelling of Peter Pan. I think it's the only adult book that I currently have on my list because I don't seem to have too many adult retellings I need to read on my shelves at this moment. I'm not going to read, I guess, the summary because it looks like they have like a small quote section up here. I'm going to read that. It says, every child knows how the story ends. The wicked pirate captain is flung overboard, caught in the jaws of the monster crocodile that drags him down to a watery grave. But it is not yet my time to die. It's my fate to be trapped here forever in a nightmare of childhood fancy with that infernal eternal boy. I do believe this is going to be based in some of the retelling sphere of Peter Pan that does infer, or maybe it's not inferred, maybe it is like explicitly stated that Peter Pan is more of the antagonist or villain of the story than Hook, and because I mean Hook is our protagonist in this one, but I've had this again for years and I definitely want to get to it. I have a couple other Hook related type stories that are adult ones as well, so I might try to do a video about these. And then finally, we have The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine. This is the first book in the Ravenspire series, and this is based on Snow White. Now, again, I know this series is based on other fairy tale stuff as well. I also have The Wish Granter down here, which, don't quote me because I'm actually not entirely sure, but I believe it has something to do with Rumpelstiltskin a little bit as well. But I know for a fact this is Snow White. Lorelei Dietrich, Crown Princess and Fugitive at Large, has one mission: kill the wicked queen who took both the Ravenspire throne and the life of her father. To do that, Lorelei needs to use the one weapon she and Queen Irina have in common: magic. She'll have to be stronger, faster, and more powerful than Irina, the most dangerous sorceress Ravenspire has ever seen. So again, well, also, because you guys didn't get to see it while I was reading probably, gorgeous map in here. But again, this is another one that I've had for a while. I actually have the first 2 books in this series, and it is a retelling of Snow White, at least in this first book. And I don't know, I'm reading a lot of fantasy sort of stuff lately, and this is sounding right up my alley, and I should pick this up soon, hopefully. But yeah, Snow White. I love the fact that it's a black apple on the front. I'm just very excited. And so those are all the ones I wanted to talk about today. I'm sure I have more retelling stuff on my actual shelves, but these are ones that I've absolutely loved. And then the other ones are ones I really want to get to. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye.